Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Funny Girl Abroad. This is me, I'm Aliki, and I have a little bit of pain in my neck at the moment, but I'm cool. It's all fine. It just, it could be that I slept weirdly, or it could be the air draft. It could be the air draft. Now, depending on where you are from, you just went like, oh yeah, of course, or what is he talking about? And that is the subject for this episode. I mean, did you see how nicely it all came together just now? I'm actually extremely proud of myself as I speak. Because that's the magic of the air draft. Depending on where you're from, it can be something totally meaningless and innocent, or an actual real killer. And you don't know that your perspective is specific. You don't know that your way of seeing the wind, frankly, is not the same as the way that everybody else sees the wind. You don't know about all the different wind perspectives out there until somebody tells you. So I'm here to tell you so that you know, because I had to find out about it the hard way. And now, of course, I myself am Greek, born and raised in Greece, and in Greece, we're careful with the wind. In Greece, the wind, especially the cold wind, but I'd say the wind in general, okay, is a liability for you, for your health. You sit on the wind, like you wake up, you're completely fine, everything measured, everything checked, absolutely the poster kid of total health. We put you in a draft between two windows, bam, there you go, down with the serious stuff. You're ready for the HR. HR, is it HR? Or is HR the department that, like, checks about if everyone's complying with the rules and stuff? Is okay, HR either means a department in a company, it's human resources. Yeah, human resources is HR. But then what is the emergency care? EC. Okay, I'm gonna stop this right. I'm not continuing this on camera. That's enough. That's enough. You've seen enough. Let's go back to our main subject. So yeah, I was saying about the air draft, and in Greece the air draft is something to be feared and respected. And so for all of my life, I have been feared and avoided the air draft. Wherever there's air that I feel, whenever I feel the air somewhere, I'm like, what? That's not the seat for me. I shouldn't be sitting here. I should go sit somewhere else. If somebody opens the window in the car, it's a time bomb. And then I moved to Sweden, and I realized that in this country, that is filled with air drafts, by the way, it's one big air draft at all times in Sweden, and it's cold. Nobody seems to care. Nobody seems to care. People are just opening, closing windows, going around, partying. Nobody's counting the windows, how many windows are open. It was a real shock for me to see how little fear there is for the draft. And everyone's like, and not only people don't feel that way, but it's not also automatically like assumed that that's a cultural thing. It's not like, oh yeah, I know, we don't believe in that, you believe in that, no, it's like everyone's like, oh no, this is not true. This is an urban myth. This is not real. This is what people say because they don't believe in that from their culture. So when your experience, when you move to a different culture, you go like, close the window, we're all gonna die. Okay, maybe not like that exactly, maybe a little bit more relaxed. But you voice a little bit of concern about the air. I mean, I hear myself, but also you understand. You raise your concerns about the air, and everybody's looking at you like you're crazy, like you're completely crazy. The air? Really? You're afraid of the air? And at that moment, and especially if you see people from different cultures looking at you equally confused and perplexed and uncertain, you start feeling like you just broke free from a cult, basically. Okay, what kind of cult did I just escape from? What else have they been lying to me about? Like, I don't even want to know. It's like you've been told the lies for a very long time, and you finally learn the truth, and then your mind immediately goes and sees all of those moments, all of those little clues that were there, but this was actually a lie. It's like when you watch a movie and there's a twist, like you find out who the killer is, that it's not the person you suspected, but it's this other person, and then immediately they saw this montage of they saw this edit of all of those moments that it was obvious that and they stole the folder and they put it under the stinger. Like, everything just comes together and it becomes so obvious. But yes, this was the truth. You just didn't know that. And that's exactly how I felt. It's my mind started to go around. I was like, oh my God, all those times that I thought that my neck hurt because I was in the draft. I also changed my pillow at that age when I got a lot of drafts. No, maybe it was the pillow. I just, I changed how I sleep. And that's why my neck hurt. You know what? If the air draft actually creates so many colds and issues and that, why have I not gotten it one time as a diagnosis? Not a single time. All those years, so many years in Greece, everybody's like, the air draft, be careful, close the window. Not a single time did I go to the doctor and was like, oh, well, I have just a bit of a cold, I have a bit of a cold, my nose, my throat, Not a single time was the doctor like, do you sit at the air draft? Were you careful with the air? How many windows did you have open at home the last couple of days? But then you start to calm down and you start to think about, okay, let's just relax. Let's take it easy. Let's look at the facts. Try and analyze and explain the phenomenon of the air draft and what it does to you, how you feel about it, how other people feel about it, what different cultures say about it, until you get overwhelmed by too much information and give up, which is basically what we do with most stuff. Let's be honest. So let's start with the basics here. What exactly is an air draft? I don't really know, to be honest. It's a breeze of air, okay? It's a breeze of fresh air, and it can be generated by a lot of different things. I don't know what causes air exactly. It can be a fan, a very big fan. It can be air. One of the most common sources of the air draft in Greece, and I think the number one, feared, the one that is particularly vicious, is the two-window problem. Two or more. I will try to walk you through the mechanics of the air draft and how to protect yourself from the air draft, like we believe in Greece that you should, step by step and slowly. So, first of all, you're in a house. Okay, your house, somebody else's house. You're indoors. Number one, the windows are closed. This is like level one. Level one, all the windows are closed. This is good. You're safe. You can live your life, bake bread, watch a TV show. You're free to do whatever you want. Then we move to level two. Level two is somebody opens a window. Wow. Now we start to pay a little bit of attention. But it's not necessarily bad. Like one window is very survivable. We're not afraid of windows, okay? We're not crazy. We're afraid of air. It depends mostly on what's happening outside. So if there's a lot of air outside, just don't be on the way. Get off the way of the air. Sit somewhere further away. Don't be right in front of the window. It's common sense, okay? Why would you sit right in front of the window? But now we move to level 3. And this is when we open 2 windows. Now, in Greece, in my culture, this is bad news. Okay, 2 windows open at the same time in the house, bad news. We don't like that. We don't like that at all, because one window lets the air inside. The other window lets the air outside. That sounds good at first. At first you're like, oh, but this is brilliant. Yeah, it's the air circulates. Okay, circulation. Fresh air. That's how you get fresh air. But no, because this creates the draft. The draft is like a river of cold air that is waiting to see you and grab you and then, send you to the hospital right then and there. So what do? How do we get fresh air if we can't open 2 windows? First of all, we're being careful. We limit the exposure. If we have to open 2 windows, we will open 2 windows, but not all day. You do it for like, an hour or something. Just how long does the air need to get in and out? It's a pretty fast process, okay? So you limit the exposure. And then the other thing is that when you open those 2 windows, you have to clear the path. Everybody get on the way. Nobody walks where the air is passing. This is for the air. You just have to lock it. You have to clock it. You have to check it. Where is it? You follow the path from one window to the other window, and you remember it. You test the air like an old sea captain. You go like. You go like. Wintry mist coming in. Whatever has happened will happen before. And everybody sings. Okay, but we don't do this. Now, if 2 windows are not enough and you have to open more windows, 3 or 4, or God forbid, 5 windows, first of all, congratulations if you have 5 windows in your house. This is very good. It must have a very good plan. But for God's sake, leave the house. This is time you leave the house. Go off. That's evacuate. It's not for you anymore. Okay, open the windows, go, have a walk. Now, I should probably say about what exactly does it do? What exactly does the air draft do to you? What kind of symptoms are those? I think in Greece, at least, I suppose it's different in different cultures, but I tell you what, in Greece, I think it relates most to type of muscle things, like muscle pains. I suppose also the cold, if you sneeze or if your throat hurts, it could be the draft, of course, if it's a cold draft. But I hear it, or at least I've heard it a lot more often about muscle pains, which honestly sounds so much more funny here. I mean, let's be honest here. Okay, you sit in the draft and then you go like achoo, achoo. Okay, that borderline makes sense, It's cold, you get cold, it's not completely crazy. But the idea that you're completely fine, you go sit on the draft between 2 or more open windows, and then all of a sudden you go like, oh, oh my God, my back's destroyed. This air draft really, it shook me down. And this is just hilarious. I mean, I've never seen it actually in action. I've never seen this happen in my life, but I've heard many times people going like, oh, my neck's here, my side. It must have been this air from yesterday. And I also got this just now. I mean, this is how I started, this is how this whole thing started. Yesterday, I got a little bit of, felt something weird on my neck, and I thought, oh, it's the air draft, or it's how I slept, or it's the air draft, or it's how I slept. I've heard many times the story of the guy, okay, I think it's the same person we're all referring to at this point, is the guy who stood in the air draft in some weird position, you know. He got in between the windows, and it was like, you know, he wasn't just sitting like this, he was sitting like that for some reason, you know. He just, I don't know, something was in a weird position, was like this, and then the air hit him, the air draft, and then guess what? He stayed like this forever. Or at like, okay, maybe for some hours, but still, like it's heavy, because that's how it works. Like wherever it finds you, it hits you, you stay there. It's like the like Medusa, you know, looks at you, whoop, done. It's the air draft. It's the Medusa air draft. I mean, it does sound like a curse. Okay, it's like when the air draft hits you, you're gonna stay like this. Okay, and what else gonna happen? Then I'm gonna like kill my dad and marry my mom. And I mean, yes, go check it. What is suspicious and really, really weird is how often you hear this story, but how rarely you see it. It seems like everybody in Greece has heard, like knows of somebody that like sat on the air draft in a weird position, then stayed in that position, but it's never happened to anybody. But everybody knows of somebody else who's had this experience. I don't know, that's, maybe I'm wrong, that's my feeling. Maybe it happened to one person, but then you know how news spread. It happened to one person once, but then it became, the topic went viral, so it ended up with many different people talking about this one person. Maybe it's somebody that watches this right now. In this case, please do let us know. We found you, finally. Of course, all of these things that I'm sharing go primarily for Greece, because this is my experience. My experience is directly from Greece. But of course, I know that it's not just Greece. So many countries have a similar feeling towards the air draft, like in different ways. And I've heard, I don't have a direct experience so much, but I've heard bits and pieces, bits and pieces, yeah, bits and pieces here and there. So, well, first of all, it's not only Greece, I think the rest of the Balkans also have a similar, you know, cautiousness around their drafts. I don't know if they think of it in the same way in regards to the windows and all those things, but I suspect so. I would suspect that. Then I also know that Middle East generally also has a little bit of a similar thing, but again, I don't know the specifics there. I think the Germans also have that, but I'm not sure. I've seen some like probably Reddit posts or whatever. I didn't look into it too much. I think also the Polish, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Polish are also afraid of air as well. And if I'm not wrong, I think the Polish are like really afraid of it, because I was looking around and I saw somewhere they referred to the air draft as like killer air, literally killer, which is extreme. I mean, in Greece we do have pretty crazy, you know, ideas about the air drafts and how you stay like this, and it makes your muscles funny and this and that, but at least we more or less we agree that you leave the air draft alive for the most part. Okay, you made it in, you're gonna make it out. You're not gonna be the same person, but you're gonna make it. So the police, they take it a little bit, they take it a step further, it looks like. Also, East Asia also seems to have a bit of a little bit of a concern with air, but that is not so much. I don't know if this is the same thing or if it's a different thing, because I seem to have the impression, but I mean Chinese medicine is its own thing, right? It's a different system. And like warm and cold have a lot of like meaning and functions, and you know, and I think they are important to that system. And I think it's also the same for Indian. I don't know. I don't know, but I think that in East Asia, all of those hot and cold, warm and cold, are important in their systems of medicine generally. And so I don't know if this can be grouped in the same air draft craze that we have, or if it's just a different thing, but like fits into their medicine philosophy. I can't really say. But here's what I do know, okay? I know who does not believe in the air draft, for sure. And that is definitely the Scandinavians. And it makes sense, right? It does make sense, because if people in Scandinavia were afraid of air, they wouldn't be in Scandinavia. The country would be empty. They'd be gone. Because where are you gonna go? Like, what's your plan exactly? People here live their life without these kinds of concerns, you know. They don't care. They open and close windows. They drive and open whatever. Everybody in the car is responsible for their own window. You sit next to the window in the car, you wanna open it, you open it, you wanna close it, you close it. It's your window. Nobody's gonna tell you anything about it, okay? In Greece, we need to have a little family meeting. You know, if one opens the window, then the other has to close it, and you know, we share it. We take turns. I think I have more peace now. I think I have, by discussing this subject, I think I've gotten some peace of mind. My mind is calm. And you know what? I don't know really. I don't know if my neck was hurting a bit yesterday because of the air draft or because I slept weirdly. I don't know. And I don't think I ever will. Because what's the truth really? Depends who you ask. Depends who you ask. And you know what? Those things are so confusing. You never really know. It could be a little bit of placebo. You think you're gonna, get something, then something happens when you're in the draft. And then again, the cold air does do certain things to your body. I mean, it does stiffen up the muscles and this and that. And I suppose it's also different things on depending on what you're used to. Maybe if you're in a place that is not cold and you're used to being warm, then a sudden cold air might have a different reaction to your body than another place. Like in Greece, for example, we have a lot of those sudden air breezes that come from like Aegean, and they're very intense actually. So maybe it has something to do with that. But people have learned to be careful with those. But I don't really know. Anyhow, I hope this was fun. It was very fun for me. Very educational, I would say. Not really, but I like to say that anyways. And thanks so much for being around. Let me know if you have any personal experiences with air drafts or what your culture thinks about them and such. And I will see you next week. Bye bye.